Look, this one decision you make at 62, 67, or 70 will determine whether you collect over $100,000 more in retirement or leave money on the table forever. And it's not complicated. The right answer depends on just two things: your health and whether you are married. In the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly which claiming age fits your situation, starting with the mistake that's costing retirees the most. Social Security is the biggest single source of retirement income for most Americans. But the claiming rules are a minefield. Claim at 62 and you lock in a permanent 30% cut. Wait too long and you risk leaving tens of thousands unclaimed. The right answer starts with a brutal reality most people don't see coming. Here is what most retirees get wrong. They treat Social Security like a savings account they should grab at 62 before the government runs out of money. That instinct is costing them a fortune. When you claim at 62, your benefit is permanently reduced by up to 30%. Every check you receive for the rest of your life is smaller. Wait until your full retirement age, which is 67 for anyone born in 1960 or later, and you get 100%. But here is where it gets interesting. For every year you delay past 67, up to age 70, the government adds an 8% delayed retirement credit. Wait until 70, and your monthly check grows to 124% of your full benefit. That's a 24% guaranteed raise just for being patient. Now, the conventional math says you need to do a break-even calculation. Claim at 62, and you get smaller checks sooner. Wait until 70, and you get larger checks later. The crossover point is around age 80. If you live past 80, delaying wins. But that analysis misses the real stakes entirely. Social Security is longevity insurance. The risk you are protecting against isn't dying too soon, it's living too long and running out of money. A 65-year-old man today has a 50% chance of living to 84. A woman, 87. For married couples, one spouse will likely live into their 90s. So, the question of when to claim isn't just about your health today. It's about the second person in this equation, your spouse. Because when you claim, you are not just choosing your own benefit. You are locking in the survivor benefit your spouse will live on after you are gone. That's where the most expensive mistake in retirement planning hides. Get this wrong and you can slash your spouse's lifetime income by hundreds of thousands of dollars without even knowing you made a choice. Let me show you how this actually plays out with real numbers. Suppose you and your spouse both worked. Your full retirement age benefit would be $3,000 a month. Your spouse's would be $1,000. If you both claim at 62, your benefits are slashed. You get around $2,100. Your spouse gets $700. Combined, that's $2,800 a month for the rest of your lives. Now, if you both wait until 67, you each get your full amounts. That's $4,000 combined. But here is the thing. If you, the higher earner, wait until 70, your benefit jumps to $3,720 per month. That's a 24% boost over your full retirement age. Meanwhile, your spouse can still claim their own reduced benefit early if you need cash flow. That's called the 62-70 split strategy. It's one of the most powerful moves available to married couples. Here is why. When you die, the lower earning spouse gets to step up to your higher benefit as a survivor. If you claimed early at 62, your spouse inherits that permanently reduced $2,100 check. But if you waited until 70, your spouse inherits the full $3,720 check for the rest of their life. That difference, $2,000 versus $3,700 a month, adds up to over $380,000 in survivor income if your spouse lives another 20 years. And remember, women statistically outlive men. So the odds are high that your wife will need that money long after you are gone. Choosing 62 as the higher earner could be the most expensive mistake you ever make without realizing it. But let's flip the lens. There are times when claiming early is absolutely the smart move. If you have a serious health condition that's likely to shorten your life, you want as many checks as possible before you pass. If you need the income right now to cover basic living expenses and you have no other savings, you claim early because you have no choice. And if you are the lower earner in a married couple, claiming at 62 can actually help your household by bringing in income while the higher earner delays. So, the framework isn't simply older is better. The framework is health and marriage status. Those two variables flip the optimal claiming age completely. Now, let's talk about the break-even analysis that so many financial articles throw at you. They say the break-even between 62 and 67 is around age 78. Between 67 and 70, it's around age 82. If you beat those ages, delaying wins. But this framing is incomplete because it treats Social Security like an investment you are trying to maximize, rather than insurance against outliving your money. Think about it this way. If you live to 75, claiming early might have paid more. But if you live to 90, claiming at 70 could pay out $200,000 more over your lifetime. And a study by researchers at the Federal Reserve and Boston University found that waiting until age 70 increases a typical retiree's lifetime discretionary spending by over $180,000 in today's money. That's real purchasing power left on the table by people who claim too early. And here is the kicker. Most people dramatically underestimate how long they'll live. The Social Security Administration's own data shows that a 65-year-old has a roughly 1 in 3 chance of reaching 90. For married couples, there's a meaningful probability that one spouse lives past 95. Longevity risk isn't a hypothetical. It's the central problem of retirement, and Social Security is the only tool most people have that automatically adjusts for inflation and pays for as long as you breathe. But there's a catch that can wipe out all the benefits of delaying, and it hits exactly when you think you are being clever. If you decide to claim early, but keep working, you trigger the earnings test. And that test can take back your benefits dollar for dollar. I'll explain exactly how it works and how to avoid it next. The earnings test is one of the most misunderstood rules in Social Security, and it catches people off guard every year. Here is how it works. If you claim benefits before your full retirement age and you keep working, the Social Security Administration will claw back part of your benefit. In 2026, for every $2 you earn above $24,480, they deduct $1 from your benefits. That's not a tax. That's a direct reduction of your monthly check. And the threshold is not adjusted for inflation in a way that helps you. So, if you are 63, still working a decent job, and you filed early, you could see your entire annual benefit wiped out before you even notice. But here is a twist that hardly anyone talks about. The money the SSA withholds through the earnings test is not gone forever. Once you reach full retirement age, they recalculate your benefit to give you credit for those months you didn't receive a check. So you eventually get some of it back in the form of a slightly higher monthly payment. But the catch is this. If you desperately needed that cash flow at 63, you are not helped by a slightly bigger check at 67. And if you die before the recalculation, you never recoup a dime. The earnings test punishes the person who claims early out of necessity, not choice. Now here is where it gets worse. Even after you dodge the earnings test, another invisible hand reaches into your wallet: taxes. Up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can become taxable income. The IRS uses a formula called combined income. If your adjusted gross income plus half your Social Security benefit, plus any tax-exempt interest exceeds a certain threshold, you start paying. For married couples filing jointly, that threshold is just $44,000. Above that, up to 85% of your benefit is taxed at your ordinary income rate. So, if you claimed early and you are still working, you've not only cut your benefit by 30%, you've also pushed yourself into a higher tax bracket, subjecting even more of that already reduced benefit to income tax. It's a double hit. But wait, the tax issue triggers another expense: Medicare premiums. If your income climbs above certain limits, the government increases your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums through something called the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount, or IRMAA. These surcharges can add hundreds of dollars to your monthly healthcare costs. And the income used to determine IRMAA is your tax return from 2 years ago. So if you claimed early at 62 and kept working, your high income at 63 shows up as a Medicare premium surcharge at 65, exactly when you are transitioning onto Medicare. You've now set off a chain reaction. A reduced benefit from early claiming, higher taxes, and higher Medicare premiums all converging at the moment you are supposed to be enjoying retirement. The most expensive mistake isn't just picking the wrong age. It's the cascade of consequences that flow from that single decision when you don't account for them. And here's the part that makes it truly dangerous. You cannot undo your claiming decision. Once you start benefits, you have only 12 months to withdraw your application, and you have to repay every dollar you received. After that, the choice is locked in for life. Your benefit amount is set. Your survivor benefit is set. Your tax and Medicare trajectories are largely determined. There is no do-over button. So after all this, you are left with one question. How do you actually pick the right claiming age? It boils down to 3 clear paths, and the path that fits you depends entirely on your health and your marital status. I'll walk you through each one. So let's break this down into the 3 real paths. The framework is brutally simple: your health and whether you are married. If you are single and you have a serious health condition, a family history of shorter lifespans, or you've been diagnosed with something that means you likely won't reach your late 70s, you claim at 62. The math for you is straightforward. Get as many checks as possible while you are still here. The break-even between 62 and 67 is around age 78. If you pass before then, early claiming puts more total money in your pocket. And since you don't have a spouse, there's no survivor benefit to worry about. That $4,800 a year you are leaving on the table by waiting doesn't matter if you never live to collect it. Now, if you are single and in good health with a family history of longevity, you wait as long as possible, ideally to 70. Here is why. A single person in average health at 65 has roughly a 1 in 3 chance of seeing 90. If you make it to 90 and you claimed at 62 on a $3,000 full retirement age benefit, you've collected about $705,000 over your lifetime. Wait until 70 and that same person collects over $990,000. That's nearly $285,000 more just by delaying. And that's not even counting cost of living adjustments, which are larger on a bigger base benefit. The system is designed to be actuarially neutral for the average person. But you are not average. The longer you live, the further you pull ahead of the early claimers. The system's neutrality is a statistical fiction that benefits the patient. And if you are married, the answer almost always tilts toward delaying for the higher earner. Ideally, the lower earner claims at 62 to bring in cash flow, and the higher earner waits until 70 to maximize the survivor benefit. This alone can prevent the most expensive mistake in retirement, the higher earner claiming early, permanently reducing the spouse's survivor income by hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if both spouses are healthy and roughly equal earners. Coordinating to delay the larger benefit creates a safety net that lasts for whichever spouse lives longest. Remember, for a couple at 65, there's a significant chance one of you will live past 95. That's a 30-year retirement. The larger that guaranteed, inflation-protected check is, the fewer other assets you need to draw down. Now here is the final number that nobody talks about but changes everything. A study by the Federal Reserve and Boston University found that delaying Social Security to age 70 increases the typical retiree's lifetime discretionary spending by $182,000. That's not just more money in theory, that's actual spending power. Restaurants, travel, helping grandkids, and the people who benefit most from waiting aren't the wealthy with big portfolios. It's the middle-class retiree who depends on Social Security for the majority of their income. For them, a 24% boost from delaying to 70 is life-changing. And yet, fewer than 5% of Americans actually wait until 70. Most claim early. Locking in a smaller lifetime income out of fear, the system will run dry. But here is the reality. Even under the worst-case trust fund depletion scenario, Social Security can still pay about 79% of benefits from ongoing payroll taxes. The program isn't disappearing. It's being strained, but it's not evaporating. Delaying is still the rational choice for the person who expects to live. So the 3 paths are clear: health problems or no spouse. Take it at 62. Healthy and single, push to 70. Married with a higher earner, Coordinate to delay the bigger benefit. That's it. No spreadsheets, no paralysis. Just two factors. The tragedy of this decision is that most people walk into it without ever hearing the framework I just gave you. They take benefits at 62 because that's what their coworker did, or they wait until 70 because some article scared them, without ever connecting the dots between health, marriage, and survivor benefits. Your Social Security, claiming age, is not a trivia question. It's the single biggest financial lever you will pull in retirement, and once you pull it, the machine doesn't reset. The good news is that you now have the map. If you are sick or alone, claim early and don't feel guilty. If you are married and healthy, protect your spouse by waiting. The peace of mind that comes from knowing your partner will be okay, even if you are gone, is worth far more than any break-even calculator can measure. If what I've shared made sense to you, hit like and subscribe so more people see this. And if you want a deeper dive into the tools I use to model these numbers for my own family, I've put a special offer in the first pinned comment. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.